Hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Thursday morning live. If you are new here to Birthbeat, welcome and welcome to our community. We are thrilled to have you here, and I will very briefly just say who I am. My name is Edwina Sharrock. I'm a registered midwife, and I have been a midwife for 15 years. I am also an emergency nurse, and I teach online childbirth education classes, online baby and child first aid, and online baby and child sleep and settle courses. What I love is when you are watching is to come in and say hello. Let me know either how many weeks pregnant you are or how old your baby is and where you're watching from. So it makes me feel not quite so strange just standing here in our little studio speaking to my phone. But I get in here every Monday and Thursday. Hello, I love seeing the love hearts and the hellos. I get in here every Monday and Thursday just to answer any questions you might have about either preparing to become a mum or a dad, how you can prepare best for your birth, what's the role of your partner or your support person, what are your pain relief options. We have absolutely everything covered for you that we teach in our programs, but I like to jump in here and just be able to support as many of you as possible. But the other day, I also go on, other social media pages, and the other day I shared in a live what to do if your baby chokes. And many of you asked if we could also host that here. So we have done quite a few IGTVs around this, but I feel like this is something that you cannot be shown too many times. So this isn't just for introducing solids. This is actually if you have a newborn, if you have a baby that for any reason stops breathing. It could be about introducing solids, but also it could just be that your baby or toddler puts something in their mouth and potentially chokes on that. So very quickly this morning, I'm just going to do a quick demo for you with my little baby Joey here. So Joey and I are going to do a quick demo for you on what to do if your baby or toddler chokes. Now, in terms of this demonstration, I realize that it can be pretty confronting, and I'm just going to acknowledge that at first. And what I'm going to do is going to look like potentially I'm going to be hurting the child. And often when people watch this, they'll be like, oh gosh, it looks like you're using a lot of force. Remember, these are first aid skills that I'm teaching you that are potentially going to save the life of a baby, infant, or toddler. So it's really important that you realize that. I'm not saying that you're going to be hitting your baby with the force that I'm going to show you in the next few minutes all the time, but what I'm doing is showing you the skills that you need to have. All I can ask of you is that you share this with as many people as possible. The way we're not going to have more and more tragic stories coming into our emergency departments or reading about it on social media and blogs is if we have the skills and we know how to respond. So this is so important that every parent knows these skills, and anyone who you're leaving your child with also has these skills. So that is my big ask of you, that you share this from the rooftops. Also, please don't feel like you have to be sitting there with a pen and paper and remembering everything that I've said. I have created a free 100%, because I am so passionate about everybody having access to this little choking guide. So this is a little exactly what I'm going to show you, written down step by step. Print it off, throw it on the fridge. Make sure that everyone in your family knows what to do. That little guide is a lifesaver. So just send me a quick DM and I will flick that back to you. It'll go to your inbox. You know it's there. You can keep printing it off. You can print off multiple copies for friends and family. I don't mind. It's just about sharing this information. It is super, super important because it's life-saving. So just send me a DM and I will flick that to you. So we are going to very briefly go through what to do if a baby or child chokes. Now, this little model here is based on about a 5-month-old, or the age and the weight of a 5-month-old. There is going to be different variants if your baby is smaller or if your toddler is older, and I will touch on those briefly. And I know that this is confronting, and I know that this is triggering, because very recently little baby Heath, who his mum very bravely and very publicly shared the story of what happened to Heath. Heath was, I think, 1 month off being 1 year old, little 11-month-old, and was playing at home, fully supervised. Mum was there. Mum heard him have a little cough, and she didn't think too much of the cough. And then what happened, he was found unconscious. And even though that mum did a really great job of trying to resuscitate the baby, she wasn't aware of what had obstructed the airway. And it was after that baby had passed away and an autopsy showed that that was a balloon. So, you know, and I where is it? I've always got them, because we actually use them for the childbirth classes, deflated balloon. And I freaking hate deflated balloons for exactly that reason, because they're colourful and they're stretchy and they're exciting to little kids, and it's often something that they can put into their mouths and very easily occlude the airway. So I'm not creating helicopter parents. That's not my goal here. It's just walk around your home on your, get down on your hands and knees, crawl around your home and have a look at the different things that are possibly there, because preventing your baby choking, you know, removing dishwasher tabs, removing all those things that are underneath the sink, all the dangerous stuff that currently sits under the sink, remove all of that, all of the medications, because prevention is better than cure. I don't want you to be in the situation that you need to be using the skills that I'm about to teach you. So for this scenario, we are just going to say that Joey here is 5.5 months old, and we're introducing some solids. If that is the case, and if you have a baby that you're introducing solids, or perhaps you have a younger baby who's still breastfed and just happens to gag or cough or appear to choke on their milk, you know, any age. But for this, we're going to say 5.5-month-old Joey, and Joey has just started on solids. And we've cut up a little bit of mango and some grapes and some strawberries, and he's very happily baby-led weaning, feeding himself, popping it into his mouth. Now, the first step here is to make sure that whenever you are feeding your baby or introducing food, is to supervise. So choking does not necessarily make a sound. Choking can be silent. So please don't expect that your baby will cough and splutter and make a sound. That is not the case. It can often be silent. What happens when your baby chokes is the airway, so from their mouth down to their lungs, there's a tube or a pipe, and if something occludes that, we are not able to get air and oxygen into the lungs. If it's occluded by something, it blocks the airway. That's what I mean when I say occlusion or occluding the airway. It is super important that you understand what that does to your baby or toddler. If no oxygen is getting into our lungs, our blood that carries oxygen to our brain is not oxygenated. When we don't get oxygen to our brain, that is when we get permanent damage to our brains, to our baby's brains, to our toddler's brains. Why I am so passionate about this is because that is irreversible. Most other things that happen to your baby or child, we can fix in the hospital. It might be painful, it might be things like burns, it might take years to recover, there may be scar damage, but so much of what we can do, we can fix. However, if oxygen is not getting to your baby or toddler's brain and there is permanent damage there, we can't reverse it, we can't fix it. So this is why you need to know these skills. This is why you need to invest in you to have these skills. So take this 10 minutes now to learn these skills. What's important when you're first looking at choking or responding to choking is, are they making an effective cough or an effort themselves to push back out whatever has occluded the airway? So let's say, for example, they've put something in their mouth and they're learning to chew, and maybe they've taken too big of a mouthful, or maybe it's something that's long and slippery, or you haven't cut it up, a grape that perfectly occludes the airway. If your baby or toddler is trying to bring that back up themselves, so coughing is how they'll do that, they'll or gagging, and gagging, if you haven't heard it before, it sounds terrible. If you have heard it before, you know what I mean. The baby will go, it's a terrible sound. They might go quite red or even a bit bluish in the face. And what they're trying to do is bring up whatever is blocking that airway themselves. So your job as a parent is to sit on your hands, look at them, put a big smile on your face because your baby reads your face, and say, good coughing, Joey. Yes, well done. Cough, cough, cough. Oh, that sounds like it's, really upsetting you. Cough, cough, bring it up. We want you to encourage that cough so that they can learn to bring it back up themselves. What I don't want you to do is go and tap them on the back, because if they then bring up what they were trying to bring up themselves, you're tapping on the back, the first thing they're going to do is catch their breath, take a big deep breath, and if it's still in their mouth and you've dislodged it with that little tap, and then they suck it right back down. So if they're trying to bring it up themselves and they've got an effective cough, simply encourage them to keep coughing and say, yes, well done, cough, cough, cough. Ideally, they will bring it back up themselves. So it's looking at the child, assessing the severity. Are they able to cough or gag or bring it up themselves? If they are, sit on your hands, don't intervene, put a big smile on your face and encourage them to keep doing so. If it's an ineffective cough, so you may start to see, and this is how you will know if it's an ineffective cough, they will look very frightened. You may see some color change around their lips and nose. And if they're not able to move air. So if they're often silence is a really strong indicator that there's no air moving. But even if they're and are making a little bit of a sound, please look at them and you will know that that's not an effective cough. Now is the time to act really quickly. And it's super important that you know what to do and you do it with confidence and you act quickly. We do not want you to delay. So for little Joey, if he's sitting in his high chair, we will pick him up out of the high chair. And the position, I want you all to rewatch this video, because the position I want you to think about is that you are supporting. So for Joey at this age, I would be getting him up out of his high chair. I've checked if there's a cough. If you can look into his mouth and clearly see something to pull out, by all means pull it out. But what I don't want you to do at this stage is spend a lot of time looking in the mouth, trying to check, is there something there, going and getting a torch, all of that sort of thing. You're wasting time. If you can clearly see it and you can pick it out there. But don't go trying to get it out if it's going to push it any further in or if you can't see something. You still need to respond in this way. We're going to make an assumption that there's something occluding the airway. It could be occluding the airway further down and you're not going to be able to see it. That is a possibility. So we're going to pick them up, put them over onto our arm. They've got an ineffective cough, which indicates to us that there is an airway obstruction, a significant airway obstruction. The child is conscious. They're looking at you. They're distressed. They're worried. You're going to say, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. Now you can either call out for help now, scream out to a neighbor, grab someone, call out to your partner. If there is someone there with you, call to them and get them to dial 000 straight away. If you're watching this in Australia, it's 000. If you're watching it in other countries, you need to know the number that you call for emergency services. You need an ambulance on its way. You are better to be cancelling an ambulance or have an ambulance arrive and everything's okay. However, if you're on your own, you can grab a phone, put it onto 000 and put it on loudspeaker so that you can continue to be doing what I'm showing you to do. So there's a couple of things about this position. I'm supporting the baby's neck, but I'm also using gravity. I'm letting gravity have that pushing down. What I'm going to do is 5 back blows, and I'm going to use this part of my hand, and I'm going to be in between the shoulder blades, and it is firm, and it's not a hit down, it's actually a push up and into the shoulder blades, because what we're trying to do is that current air that is in the lungs, push that and hopefully push out whatever is occluding the airway. So it's like a push, not a compress like we teach in CPR. So it's 5, 1, and I can check and see if what I've done has cleared it at all. I can't see anything coming out. The child is still silent. They are still conscious and have tone. 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, you don't need to be taking notes. If you want the free guide of what to do, just send me a DM. I will send that to you. You've done 5 back thrusts. They are hard. I have parents who do my online course and they'll say things to me like, what if we hurt their ribs? What if there's a bruise on their back? What if they hurt them? And I was like, that's okay. What we're trying to do is save a life here. All right? You may bruise them. You may feel like you're doing it really hard. That's the reality. I'm checking and I cannot see that we have cleared the airway. So I'm turning the baby over, and again, I can't see anything in the mouth. And depending on the age of the child, if it was a smaller baby like Junior, who we use for our childbirth classes, it's likely we'd just use 2 fingers in between the nipple line and we'd be doing chest thrusts. Again, using that motion of pushing, not compressing. So for that age group, we'd probably use about 2 fingers. As they get older and bigger, you may also use this part of your hand. But for this age, I've got 2 fingers in between the nipple line, still using gravity, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am unable to see anything coming up yet, so I'm going to continue. Remember, I have called O. I'm on the phone to the paramedics. They will continue to coach you, and it's important that you stay on the line to them. And then we're going to turn the baby back over, and we're going to go 5 again. And then turn the baby back over and go 5 again. And you keep going. You keep going either till a paramedic arrives and is able to take over, or you clear the airway. It's likely Bub will have a big vomit, have a big cry. You need to be giving them some comfort. If they're a little bit older, you might be rolling them into the recovery position and letting them know and reassuring them. We go through what to do for older children in our online program. Obviously, that's a little bit different. And if you are doing 5 and 5 and 5 and 5 and you keep going and you're not clearing the airway, quite quickly that child will become unconscious. How you know they'll become unconscious is they'll be unresponsive, their body will go floppy, and that is when you need to put the child down on a firm surface and commence CPR. You continue to do CPR if they do not respond to the back thrusts and the chest thrusts. And if they do not respond to the 5, 5, 5, 5 and they lose consciousness, you then start CPR. This is super important that you know what to do. Please, I know this is a super full-on topic and I'm usually on here doing my lighthearted answering your questions, but I so passionately want you all to have these skills. So DM me for your free guide, share it far and wide, tag this, share it in your mum's groups, do whatever you need to do to get this out to more people. It is so important. I do not want you to be the parent that comes into emergency and says to me, we just didn't know what to do. Don't panic, do something, call O, use gravity and use force, and it's 5, 5, 5 and 5 until they lose consciousness. I hope that has been super helpful for you. If you have any other questions or you want to reach out to me, please do. DM me for the free guide to go on your fridge. It is super important. And make sure that you share this with your partners, with your loved ones, and anybody who is watching your child. If you want to know how to do CPR, if you don't yet confidently feel like you know how to do CPR on your baby or child, come and join us for our childbirth, baby and child first aid class. It's 3 hours. It's broken down into different segments. In 45 minutes, I'll be able to teach you how to confidently do CPR on your baby or child. This is one course that every parent should be committing to. No excuses. No, I don't have time. It's about making the time. And that's why I do it online. You don't need a babysitter. You can do it in the evenings. You can do it in the mornings. You can do it and rewatch it as many times as you like. Plus, I will say our course is not just about CPR and choking. We also cover drowning, coughs, colds, fevers, gastro, everything that you need to know as a new parent. I hope that has been super helpful. Reach out to me if you'd like to. We will share this on Instagram as well and share it far and wide. Talk to you all soon. Bye.